Hey everyone, Kathy the Vegan Prepper here, bringing you a video about cost per calories and the kinds of things that we could focus on stocking up on right now. I'm honestly making this video because I'm a little irritated at some of what I've been seeing coming out on other really big name prepping channels, and I'm definitely not going to be naming anybody. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. This is something that we've kind of talked about on the channel before, that it seems like a lot of the bigger prepping channels are super meat obsessed, where, you know, crises happen and then they say, you better stock up on meat, stock up on meat, stock up on meat. And I have gotten to the point with this latest thing where I feel honestly angry. I feel like it's irresponsible. I feel like if these people, like there's like one in particular who's constantly talking about how you need to prepare so that your children don't starve in the coming years. And it's like, if you really care about making sure that there are no starving children in coming years, then we need to stop telling people to stock up on meat and spending, you know, what limited dollars they have on this ridiculously expensive and nutrient deficient food. What do you get out of it? Basically protein and maybe what, B12, like, because, you know, vegans don't get B12 in their food. Big deal. So get a few supplements and then also stock up on stuff that's cheaper. So I feel like dollar per dollar, calorie per calorie, there is no cheaper way on this earth to eat than a plant-based diet based on whole plant foods. This is also the diet. If I wade into these waters, I apologize. I'm not going to stay here for very long for anybody who's not interested in religious discussions, but I'm only bringing it up as a vegan who is also a Christian. The question of dominion comes up, and the blanket story from Acts justifying all of the eating of everything. Honestly, that story was not even about food, so go check it again. But, you know, Paul says all things are permissible to me, but not all things are beneficial. I've mentioned before, I do not believe that eating sin, or that eating meat is a sin. I believe that animals and animal foods were provided by God to us as survival food. It is an inferior survival food is what it is. But our species specific diet is plant-based, and if we have the ability and the option to eat that way, we should. I also believe that it's time for people to lose the focus on animal products like they're so nutritionally superior to plants, which is completely false. Basically the only thing the animal products do provide are those things, basically what, the B12 and the D. But most of those are even supplemented. Like, animals are no longer receiving those nutrients from their natural environment. They themselves are being supplemented because we're so far away from the natural design. And so people are as well. Even if we were plant-based in nature, we would be able to receive vitamin B12 from our environment. We would be able to receive vitamin D from the sun because we were created. I mean, look at us. Look at the way that we've been created. We are created for a temperate tropical climate. We don't have fur, right? We don't have the ability to really survive the cold unless we begin to adapt, you know, by heavier, warmer clothing and all of that stuff. So anyway, that's the end of my kind of religious bent on this whole thing. But I believe that plants are even more nutritious. And I feel like, again, it's irresponsible and it is downright unjust to continue to overemphasize animal products in prepping. And so I'm here to talk to you today about some really cheap, I mean, ridiculously cheap, even now with food inflation the way it is, you can still get a significant number of nutritious calories stored up for your family for very inexpensively. So the latest thing that has come down, basically, and the thing that has made me angry and has made me really want to make this video is the whole thing with the bird flu. So it's late April 2022, and basically in order to prevent the spread of bird flu, chicken producers are getting ready to cull entire flocks, I guess, of chickens. So this is like in North America and Canada, hundreds of thousands of birds are probably about to be culled. You would think that I would be sad about this from a vegan perspective. Honestly, I am not. They were going to die anyway, pointlessly. Even if people ate them, it's pointless. So to me, it's a very sad situation, of course, but my heart aches, honestly, for the people who are going to find themselves without a food source that they are used to and that they depend upon. So a whole bunch of prepping channels right now are really emphasizing people go out and buy meat, go out and spend money on meat and stocking up on these things, even suggesting that people invest in pressure canners in order to preserve meat for long term. And this is the part where it isn't about the animals, honestly. I mean, I am vegan for the animals. I have compassion for the animals, but a huge part of why I'm vegan is also for people and for the suffering that people experience because of animal agriculture and because of the disease that develops in their bodies from a lifetime of consuming these products. And it has nothing to do with them specifically. I'm not judging them. I'm not judging their choices. Our society sets it up to where if you decide that you're going to go back to a more natural diet for humanity, you're the weird ones. You're, like you are the pariah. You are the outcast, right? So I'm not at all judging people in that. But it's just like, I have a heart for people. I have had to change our diet so many times based on certain things that happened in our lives. I don't necessarily want to get into attempting to approach various things that have arisen in a natural way. So like when my son was younger, we had to go dairy free, and all kinds of things. So experiencing the difficulty of needing to change the way that I cooked and the way that I did things as a result of no longer being able to use a certain ingredient. So in that case, it was not a supply chain issue. It wasn't that dairy was not available. It was that we were no longer consuming it. And I had to completely change everything that we were doing. And we're talking about close to 20 years ago, when there was not nearly as much stuff available now or as there is now. I'm thinking of people who are not going to have access to things like eggs. Honestly, the meat is not that big of a deal. You just use beans instead. Use tempeh, use tofu, there's so many things that you can use. You can use gluten-based, things that are not too bad. Like if you really have to have that meaty texture or that meaty flavor, there are other options and it's not that difficult. But I'm thinking about people who are going to need to suddenly replace eggs. So people saying, these other prepping channels are saying you have to go stock up on your meat. Oh yeah, and get the pressure canners. It's just like, are you serious? Because I'm seeing in the comments people talking in Europe or from Australia who are saying that pressure canners are insanely expensive to purchase right now, and they're afraid, of not having meat on hand. Again, meat is some miracle food. It is not. It is survival food. It's inferior food. It is the flesh, the dead flesh of an animal, and it only brings death into our bodies. It creates inflammation and causes disease because death begets death. It is a survival food. So, but they're so worried about not being able to put it up. But I'm thinking about people right now who are thinking, I've got to have all of this money to purchase all of this insanely expensive meat because it's only getting more expensive, right? And then I also need to invest in pressure canning. I need to invest then in jars, in lids, so that I can preserve this thing. And thinking about how much money, or they need to get a freeze dryer to preserve meat. Like all of the money that people are getting ready to drop on meat because of this. It's so not necessary. The thing too, that I'm thinking of is people again who are not going to be with eggs. So I put this what I thought was a really thoughtful comment because I approach like I said, right now I'm testy and I'm irritated, but it's not directed at any person. It is directed at kind of societal attitudes really is my anger right now. And so I had put this thing where, somebody was, I've it's really hard not to say who it was, but I just basically responded. I thought it was a very thoughtful response. And I basically said, my heart aches for anybody who's about to need to change their diet. So now is the time to begin to learn how to use alternatives, learn how to make a cake, for instance, without eggs, without butter, learn how to do these things, learn how to make your own butter, invest in learning how to or invest time in learning how to, for instance, make your own plant milks from nuts and seeds in your stash, and then learn how to make yogurt from those things. Like learn how to begin to do these things now while you don't have to, so that when you do potentially have to, if things keep going the way they're going, you may have to eventually, you won't be so blindsided, because you will already have a set of skills in place in order to conquer that thing. I feel like this is ridiculously good advice. And it's, again, based upon my heart aching for people who are going to suddenly need to know how to do these things without any frame of reference whatsoever, adding to their stress, adding to the stress of, not having enough food. Now I don't even know how to cook the things I used to cook all of the time. And the very first response I got to that comment, which was not at all unexpected, were in all caps, yuck. That was the response I got. People are so entrenched in animal products. They can't even can I please, if there is a single non-vegan watching right now, could you please, in all honesty, I really want to know, let me know in the comments down below, is that stupid advice to we're supposed to be about preparedness? We're supposed to be about prepping? Is it dumb to learn how to exist without animal products, even if you don't have to right this moment? Is it stupid to learn how to make your own plant milks, to learn how to adapt to make some of your favorite recipes without ingredients you may always have, access to? Is that bad advice? Anyway, I might be spending too long on this. I really want to get to calories per dollar, but there was one other prepping channel that just posted recently about, planning on raising chickens so that you can have eggs, because we're potentially going to have no chickens and no eggs. And I my brain literally stops when I hear this. So we're going to tell people, instead of let's figure out how to live without eggs, we're going to tell people you should start preparing to raise your own chickens so that you can have your own eggs, even though all I've been hearing from every single prepping channel out there, including this one, is all about all of the grain shortages, corn and wheat that we're going to be experiencing going into these next few years. So people should be investing in raising chickens, raising their own animals right now, while we are looking at grain shortages. And I understand that it's there are people who can raise their chickens very naturally if they have enough land. Those chickens can be out, scratching in the dirt and eating bugs and not eating really a lot of grains. But I think most people, even the really natural chicken raisers, I'm not I don't know anything about raising chickens, I freely admit, but I kind of, before I was vegan, I researched it myself. I think even those really naturally raised chickens have to be supplemented with grain, with feed. We're already looking at the entire winter wheat harvest, apparently, that just came out of, our winter here in the United States. Pretty much all of that is going to animals, and none of it is coming to humans. From what I have heard, again, not even from a vegan prepping channel. And I was do we not see an issue here? Do we not see a problem with now grains are being fed into supporting this industry? Humans aren't going to have access to that food. Only animals will, because humans have to continue eating meat. Why not just skip the middleman, skip the middle cow, just give it to people, right? Okay, anyway, but yeah, so encouraging people to begin raising their own animals while we are about to have a grain shortage. Do you guys not believe that we're actually going to have, do you not believe your own press that you've been spouting for the last few years, even though we are seeing it come to fruition, that there are major grain shortages, and you're going to ask people to start investing in raising animals? With is there anybody, because I do know that there are people who farm, who watch this channel, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that for the most part people feel safe enough to be here and then to even comment and say that. Because again, I'm not judging anybody. I wasn't vegan my whole life. I've only been vegan for about 5 years now. So like, I guess, are any of you concerned about feed in the next few years? Like, isn't that a real concern? So the idea that you would invest all of this money right now in chickens, I'm just flabbergasted. And again, I feel like it is irresponsible, and it's downright dangerous to be telling people to funnel their dollars into that right now, with the way the economy is going, the way the dollar is going, the way things hyperinflation. Like, so then do you not believe in hyperinflation either? So people are supposed to be spending all of their money on this stuff that's only going to get more and more expensive going forward. I feel like that's the most ridiculous advice anybody could be giving right now. I think the best advice is, the advice I'm about to give. Fancy that. I definitely don't pretend to know everything. I don't, but for me personally, looking at everything, looking at the whole picture of everything, I'm focusing on plant foods for my family. And obviously I'm already vegan, but I feel like even if you're not vegan, that's what makes the most sense. So I'm definitely speaking to people who have like no money, who say I can't stock because I don't have enough money. And so I want to show you a few things. It's on Azure Standard. And I want to just show you some prices on some things, and maybe, hopefully this next part of the video will be relatively short, relatively cheap. There's a huge amount of nutrients in these things. Granted, yeah, okay, fine. You still need vitamin D. You still need vitamin B12. You still need these things. I think even if you purchase some supplements, it is way cheaper altogether than trying to stock up on meat, especially if you need to buy a pressure canner or a freeze dryer, or you're buying a whole chicken coop, or you're purchasing chickens, or you're doing, I don't even know. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the actual pricing of things, and we'll take it from there. Okay, now I do apologize for how ridiculously low tech this is. I don't really have the ability to actually film and talk, like capture a screen. I'm just filming my computer screen right now. But I just wanted to sort of show you guys and point some stuff out to you. So if you are thinking about what do I need to stock up on right now to make sure that I have a stock of food for my family, what is the fastest way that you can get there, and how can you do it as inexpensively as possible? So I have just a few kind of cherry-picked things from Azure Standard. And so number one is the sorghum. So this is just sorghum. It is a 25-pound bag of sorghum. Up here you can see for $18.22. This is still, you can see, I think my date down here, or maybe not quite, but it is April 20th, 2022 right now. $18.22. This works out to, because I had the numbers were so low, I actually had to calculate per 100 calories and not per calorie. This works out to about 3 cents per 100 calories. The exact number was 0.029. So we're rounding up a little even. 3 cents per 100 calories. That's ridiculous. It is inexpensive. There is a ton of really great nutrition here. So you'd probably be eating more like only half this amount, because the serving size is 1 cup dry. So that's an insane amount of food. So you likely would be cutting this in half for your actual serving. But still you're looking at, 300 something calories, 20 something percent of your iron, 10-ish% of your potassium, even a little bit of calcium, and some protein in here. You're like looking at 10-ish grams of protein. Like, this is extremely nutritious. In fact, I was really surprised when I saw these numbers, because I haven't ever bought sorghum before, but you know what? I'm buying it this month. I'm buying some for my Azure Standard haul. I'm going to either grind it and make it into things, or I'm just going to eat it just like a whole grain. I was really surprised by these numbers, and I was thinking they're pretty similar to quinoa. So now here's some quinoa. Quinoa is not as cheap. I realized I didn't even figure out the calculations on the quinoa. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Okay, so I got my calculator here now. So we're looking at 170 calories times 241. So this bag of quinoa total is 40,970, calories. So that's still even pretty good. So okay, 49.70. So let's do 61.90 is what it is. Divided by, here, I'm gonna have to pull this over because I already forgot what that was. Divided by 49.70 equals this much. So I'm gonna go ahead and multiply this by 100 because we have to kind of look at it like that. So this is about 15 cents per 100 calories. Okay, so that's, even though this is cheap or this is expensive, it's still not that bad. 15 cents for 100 calories. But anyway, I have it on here mainly to compare the nutrition. So if you divide, so here's the quinoa, here's the sorghum. To divide these numbers basically by 4, it's actually higher in iron, if I remember, relatively equal in the potassium, and just a little less. It's like about 5.5 grams of protein per serving versus 6 grams. So this is only a 1/4 cup dry, which would work out to about a 1/2 cup cooked. I don't know very many people who eat only a 1/2 cup of quinoa at a time. So even that I think is very low compared to what you'd actually get if you were eating a serving that's more like what people actually eat. So really, I was very surprised at how comparable nutritionally the sorghum is to the quinoa. Sorry. But anyway, so yeah, even though still quinoa, what, 15 cents a per 100 calories, and even though this is much pricier, that's still a pretty great deal in my opinion. Now looking over here, it starts to get kind of hilarious. Corn is, oh no, I'm so sorry. The number I was telling you, this is not 3 cents a calorie. The sorghum is closer to 5 cents a calorie. It was 0.47 per 100 calories. I sort of went out of order a little bit, I guess, on my notes. But still, so it's about 5 cents for 100 calories. The corn, so you can get dry corn. This can turn into, you can grind it into cornmeal if you have that, or you can soak it, like they said over down here, you can soak it overnight and cook it into soups and stews. You can do all kinds of things with just like dried corn. This is not popcorn, this is a dried corn. 25 pounds organic is $14.11. I kind of ruined it, I guess, already. This is 0.029 cents per 100 calories. This one actually is. So it's about 3 cents for 100 calories. 1/8 cup, that is only 2 tablespoons. All right. This is ridiculous. That is 2 tablespoons. Probably reconstitutes to roughly a 1/4 cup. So you're looking at 4 grams of protein, even some, like a tiny bit of calcium, but even some iron, some potassium. So this is not nothing, when you're looking at this. It's granted, it's not, a nutritional powerhouse like quinoa or like the sorghum, but something like this, 25 pounds of food for only $14. And it's like, obviously this isn't all you're going to stock. So you'll stock various things to get various, nutrition profiles, but this is not insignificant. If you have like no money and you need to stock up and make some significant calories for your family, consider something like this, okay? This is a great option for people who are struggling and needing to do this. So basically this 25-pound bag of corn, the $14 of food, works out to 48,076 calories. That is a significant amount. It's a truly significant amount. You could build a stockpile pretty quickly based on that, because in order to build a proper stockpile, you need to know how many calories you're putting away, which is why I emphasize that. It's so important. And I will kind of get into that a little bit later. So here is another amazing option. Pearl barley, super nutritious, really, really nutritious, really good. Again, this is a serving size of a 1/4 cup. So with barley, that's going to come out to roughly, I think, 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup of food. You might not be eating a ton of it, but the really good thing about this is, again, it actually puffs up to 3 to 4 times its original size. So this is a really great one to have on as a tummy filler. Like, like for potential hard times. We love putting it in soup though. We love it. It's delicious. So we make stews with it. Apparently you can even grind it and turn it into bread food, breads and things like that. I haven't really tried that myself, but look at this, 25 pounds for only $20. This works out to 39,140 calories. It's about 5 cents per 100 calories. 0.051 is what the calculation worked out to. So 5 cents for 100 calories. You're looking at over, what was it? Sorry, looking at my notes, almost 40,000 calories for only $20. I mean, it's ridiculous. But now I'm laughing because the corn, I didn't realize that's close to 50,000 calories for $14. It's just, yeah. And people are like, stuck up on meat. I can't even. Okay. So moving on to hard red wheat. This is like, seriously, if you can tolerate gluten, like obviously I know barley's not good if you can't tolerate gluten, but I'm pretty sure sorghum and then corn are a great option. Quinoa too is a great option if you can't tolerate gluten. Man, I didn't even do the oats. I should pause and go do the oats. But for now, looking at this, 50 pounds, 50, not 25, 50 for $37. It used to be $32. Now it's $37. Okay. 50 pounds. So that means 25 pounds is less than $20. This is 80,480 calories. It comes out to about, again, if you round up, it's 5 cents per 100 calories, but the actual calculation came out to 0.046, like less than 5 cents for 100 calories. It's insane. This is a crazy good deal. So this is to sort of get you thinking about why this matters. For our family, a family of 5, I figured out our 3-day supply of food for 3 days for the 5 of us, even with my daughter, who's only 4, very tiny, doesn't eat as much. Our calorie needs each day, or each 3 days for our family, is 35,634. And that isn't counting if we were doing like heavy labor or walking all day or whatever. This is a huge need for only 3 days, 35,634. But you see, every single thing I showed you just now, 25 pounds, would cover us for 3 whole days. Now, granted, obviously it's not a varied diet. It's not going to meet all of our nutritional needs, but it would meet calorie needs at least for a while. And so each one of those things would cover only about 3 days. You hear numbers like 39,000 calories and you think that's so much, but once you start actually calculating it over your family and what your family actually needs for its daily supply or weekly supply, you realize it's not as much as you think it is. So I have this is for our family. I rounded up just a hair, I remember, because I liked this kind of nice, even, easy to do math number. So I know that for a year for my family, I need to be putting up 4 million calories. So for 3 months, that's 1 million calories. This is just for my family. So this is, you probably already read it, approximately 12, this is only for 3 months, approximately 12 pounds of beans, approximately 14 bags of rice. This is 25 pound bags. So for a total, 48 pounds or 48 bags of beans and 56 bags of rice for a year. This is an insane amount of food. It's a huge amount of food to put away. And I'm focusing on this not because I'm trying to discourage anyone, but because I'm trying to wake some people up to think about their stock. Think about those people who think, oh, I've got plenty because I've got like a 25 pound bag of oats. It's going to last us forever. No, it won't. If that is your only source of food, it's not going to last you very long. And obviously that's not with any kind of variety at all. So you want to obviously get some more variety in there. But this was a huge wake-up call to me. It's a huge thing to think about. So the idea that you should be going off and spending money on meat is like so reprehensible to me that people are even still suggesting this for people who haven't even gotten started yet. You need to start with stocking up on stuff that you can afford, that's going to get you to these calorie limits, or these calorie levels very quickly. Granted, meat would take up a little less space, but you have to think about then your storage is pressure canning. It's in the freezer. I didn't even get to the numbers on the meat. So let's go ahead and sort of talk about that really fast while I still have you, if I still have you. Okay, so numbers for meat that I wrote down. This is, and I'm estimating because it's been so long since I've purchased meat. I don't know what the prices are like right now. And also, I don't know, I didn't go look. I try not to be judgmental and all that stuff. I still, again, as a vegan, I don't like going to look at the meat section or the meat department. Like, it does disturb me a little bit, so forgive me for not like actually going and researching, but you can let me know how close I am in the comments down below if you are still purchasing meat, because this is about being helpful to people who have like no money and are just starting out, and really need to work hard at budgeting every cent that they have towards actually becoming prepared for potential food shortages and things like that. So a pound of ground beef is, if you're getting the 70-30, is 1,506 calories. If you get like super lean ground beef, is 95.5. It's 621 calories. And so I do definitely remember from back when I was not vegan that the leaner the beef, the more expensive it is. But I decided to assume a cost of about $6 a pound. And I don't know if that's accurate or not. But if you're looking at $6 a pound for the 70-30, it comes out to 0.398. So we're looking at close to 40 cents per 100 calories, which is obviously, much more expensive than all of the other options. If you're looking at the 95.5, again, assuming still $6 a pound, which I don't know. I think it's more than that now, especially for cuts cuts that lean. You're looking at 0.966, so close to 97 cents per 100 calories for the beef. So then I thought, well, let's go ahead and look into chicken. Because chicken has always really been cheaper than beef. So if you're looking at chicken breast alone, 1 pound is 748 calories. I'm just doing this for like probably what people are most commonly purchasing. I remember back before we stopped eating meat, though, it had been years since I purchased separate cuts of chicken. I was purchasing whole chickens because it was cheaper. So there might be a lot of people out there doing that. So these numbers may skew a little better if you do stuff like that. I just don't know. But for chicken breast alone, 1 pound, like I said, is 748 calories, assuming that we're looking at a cost of about $3 a pound. So again, I don't know. So just let me know in the comments how close I am right now. Even at $3 a pound, that is 0.401, or just, well, not over. We can say that's 40 cents for 100 calories, because that's ridiculous. I think it would end up being a total of like, I don't know. Anyway, it's basically 40 cents for 100 calories, which actually, if I'm remembering correctly, that's sort of close to the cost of the quinoa, right? Is it? I'll have to rewatch and go through and see if that's correct. But even still, it's way more than the other things that I presented as far as the grains. So again, I know that I was testing, I was irritated earlier in the video, and I do apologize for that, but honestly, I'm thinking again of people who are just starting and they're getting advice that's going to have them potentially not be as prepared as they could be when things go down. So I think for the most part, people have kind of a finite amount of money, especially with rising gas costs and just rising costs of everything, that if you want to be able to throw $100 at the problem, rather than just getting like maybe a canner and some meat or something, maybe throw $100 at some of these grains. So say, for instance, you did just get $100 worth of pearl barley. So for the ease of the math, that was 2021 for 25 pounds. You'd be able to get 125 pounds of this food. That's 39,140 calories. Just again, for the ease of the math, we'll call it 40,000. And so 4 times 5 is 20. So you're looking at 200,000 calories for $100. A little less than 200,000 calories, depending on, where your family is. That could be an extremely significant amount of food. Now, again, I do definitely advocate variety, but there's a huge variety in grains, a huge variety in beans. If you buy unconventional beans, if you buy non-organic beans, you can still find like 25-pound bags of pinto beans for $15 or $16 at places. Like, there are so many options that you can do that are genuine, real nutrition for your family. I don't believe there is any cheaper way to eat, and it's not because it's inferior, it's because it's less desirable. It's because our whole society has bought into this lie that you absolutely have to have animal products in order to be healthy, or that animal products are for the rich people and like poor people eat plant-based. And that is basically true. If you look hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the only and I say this with all the kindness that I can muster. I'm not meaning to body shame anyone. Obviously, I'm still obese. I'm definitely not speaking from a place of judgment, but I'm just going to say this, and people are probably not going to like how I say it, but the only people who were fat and unhealthy were the rich people, because they were the only ones who had access to the food, the kinds of food that now our entire population has access to, those rich foods. People are dying across our entire country from diseases of excess. And I'm speaking about America. I'm pretty sure it's the whole world really, but especially America. We have kind of a reputation for being fat and unhealthy. And I don't necessarily believe it's unearned. But I also don't necessarily believe that it's, I think it's an injustice. I think it's the way the food system is set up and whatnot. That's a conversation for another time. But yeah, people are dying of excesses. They're dying of heart disease, they're dying of cancer, they're dying of diabetes, they're dying of infections and things like that, like where bodies are unable to fight things off because they're already so inflamed and so unhealthy. High blood pressure, all of these things. These are diseases of excess, not diseases of deficiency. People are so terrified of diseases of deficiency. But that's not what's killing people. What's killing people is diseases of excess. And so we are like at the only time in history that we have a huge population of people who can afford to eat themselves to death. And that's basically what we're doing. And I feel like for so many reasons, not just to be able to make sure that you have enough food for your family, but to potentially steer yourself away from those kinds of diseases, eating more plants is just the answer. That's what we were created to eat, and that's what our bodies function best on. So anyway, I guess that's it. Sorry for being such a downer. And I hope this video strikes the chord that I want it to strike. I don't mean for it to be about drama. I don't mean for it to be about, kicking a hornet's nest. I'm afraid a little bit that I'm kicking a hornet's nest right now, kind of talking about all this stuff, but I just feel like with everything I've been seeing lately, I can't stay silent. So here I am, definitely not winning prizes or joining clubs or making very many people happy with me, I don't think. But I got to be willing to say the thing that nobody else is saying. So I guess that's why I'm here. So anyway, all right, love you all. As always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys later. Bye.